and welcome to Trucking Along with Kearsey. That's me, your positive voice in trucking, and this is my positive trainee, Maureen. So we decided that today we were going to discuss the difference between going to a company-sponsored school like Prime or going through a local CDL school like she did, because I went through Prime and she went through a local. So we get a lot of questions. I get a lot of questions specifically about the differences between the two and the pros and cons, and everybody has to make up their own mind about what's best for them. But Maureen pointed out that there's differences that you don't realize until you actually get out here.
Right.
So why don't you talk about your experience, because she got messed up because of COVID too.
Right. Now, I went to local school. I had done my research, of course, and debated how I'm going to get my CDL. At the end, I decided to do a local school, and that was partly because I didn't want to sign a contract with anyone, because I just didn't want to do that. I was going to be able to sleep at home, eat my meals at home while I'm going to school, and still keep my job that I was working at. So my private school, my local private school, offered an 8-week course on the weekends. Now, it was interrupted because there was COVID. After 2 weeks, we had the COVID going on, and I can't remember how long I was down for, but then they started it up again. But when we started back up, then we had the pad time. We had finished our class time. And what I learned, we had so many hours. There were 7 students in my class. So we had 2 instructors, but then after like 3 weeks, one of those instructors decided he decided to go on somewhere else. So there was one instructor with 7 students, which is kind of hard, especially in the summertime when it's really hot outside and you're on the pad trying to learn how to back up. But our driving was mainly the city driving, and basically the route that maybe we were going to get tested on. But when I got here, I realized that Kearsey, she went through the Prime PSD, and they actually got to go out with a driver, do 10,000 miles with their permit. They were allowed to go do the pickups, do the deliveries, do the driving for 2 weeks. So they have a lot more experience in that sense.
So when you say you had one instructor with 7 students, you have one truck that 7 people were sharing?
Yes, for a time period, because I don't think they realized that one instructor was going to leave. And then one weekend we had to travel somewhere else. Half of the class traveled to another school, so we couldn't split it up, because it is a lot when trying to teach 7 students how to back up, and some of us take longer than others to learn that.
But you also couldn't have gotten that much time either.
Right.
Were they giving you 15-20 minutes each person or something?
Well, what we did, we would have, in the beginning we would start with the straight back, and then of course we have the straight back, the offset, and the parallel where I come from. So we try to do one set before we move on to the other person. So if I had more, let's say if I was able to do the backing, the straight back, but then I had let's say an issue with the off backing or parallel, of course it would take me longer, and somebody that doesn't take that long, they were sitting out in the sun, So to me it was just a lot different than and I didn't realize the differences until I got here, because when I did my research, I was tunnel vision on the financial aspect of it. But in reality, I think you most likely get more for your money when you go to something like Prime PSD, because you get a lot more experience. You know a lot more about how it actually is when you get your CDL.
This is true. Because
some of, you get to go into a truck, you actually get to go to a customer. We never backed up on a door, and I was told that in the state where I'm from, you can't drive a loaded truck with a permit. So that makes a big difference than, just driving an empty trailer. But that's the route I went, and I did get my CDL, and that's the reason I'm doing, somewhere else. That's the reason my TNT miles are 60,000, which, I don't mind, because if I was at PSD, I would have gotten 10,000 miles during PSD.
Right. But see, I think that also plays a role in her head, because I had explained to her, she came in with her license, but really she's 10,000 miles or so behind somebody that came into prime and is now starting TNT rather, the team training with their license. So that plays in your head, you know, like she thinks, oh, I'm supposed to be so much more advanced. No, because you're really starting with nothing when you come from a local school where, you know, every company also does it differently. So if you go someplace like CFI, I have friends that went to CFI, and there's 2 local trucking schools, and they do it more as a local trucking school that CFI pays for. So they're sharing trucks with other trainers and other students. But with us at Prime, it's one-on-one. You have 1 truck, 1 trainer, 1 student, and we do have people that don't go out on the road and they just do their training in the backing pad at the terminals. The reason for that could be a lot of spouses will come in and they want to stay together as long as possible. So they'll stay at the terminal and they'll work individually with a trainer. Other issues could be maybe the trainers are limited. When all this outbreak came out, a lot of trainers were afraid, like, to take students out on the road, or they didn't want to go home as much, or, you know, this whole craziness has you paranoid. There's no way she and I are going to be 6 feet apart in this truck. So, and then you have different levels of people who are concerned about it.
Right.
There are some people out here that are so obsessive that they wipe everything down. They sanitize their shoes and their hands and their gloves and their face every time they get in and out of the truck. And if you have somebody like that versus somebody that's like, I'm washing my hands and I'm wearing my mask and don't expect me to go nuts, then that's already going to create more hostility in a situation in a really tiny box that could be really bad to begin with.
That's right, yes.
I mean, not everybody's going to get along to begin with, and then you put a whole nother level on it. So I think there was a little bit of a shortage when everything was crazy, and there might have been more people getting trained on the pad, but they were still one-on-one. They did get to go deliver loads. They just find like local loads that maybe might be an hour or 2 hours away. Something that I really liked about doing it over the road was I got to drive at night.
Okay.
I got to drive through fog, through rain, through toll booths, downgrades, you know, things that you can't do when you go to a local school.
Now, I did have night driving one night. It was one-on-one night driving. I can't remember how long, but
you also had separation between your classes. How long was it between your classes?
I want to say a couple of weeks because of the COVID. You know, so we had just finished the classroom training when the COVID hit. I think it was 2 weeks in. After 2 weeks, then we were told, well, we don't know. But then they started it back up. But
see, that's an issue too, because I told her, even when I come off of home time sometimes, I can't back. And it's not that I can't, it's just that you start to struggle. I went off in August for my eyes to get my eyes done, and I think I was off 3 weeks or 4 weeks or something. And just coming back out on the road, I was already tired and fatigued after 5 hours of driving and trying to back into a space, and I've been driving for 5 years. So a brand new student who gets that kind of distance in between, you know, their practice time basically could really struggle, you know, and I think she's really hard on herself, because I do think that played a little bit in a part of why she feels like she's struggling now. She is a really fast learner.
Yeah, so, but you know, I'm struggling with it, but what I'm doing is I'm working through it. I'm not going to give up on it. And I think that's one of the reasons we wanted to make a video about my struggling with the backup. Just because you struggle with something does not mean you need to give up on it. You just have to keep going and keep going, keep at it. You know, find another way. You know, read some more instructions on it. Watch some more people and practice and practice. In my case, it would be practice for backing, but other people might struggle with something else. I don't know. You just have to keep at it. What do you think?
Never give up. I said that before on this channel. No, but never give up, no surrender, no defeat, all that stuff. I said in one of my videos, COBRA Kai, fear does not exist on this channel. You know, and you know what? That's something else too. I wrote an article on Trucking Truth about fearing the unknown, and she brought that up the other day. And unfortunately, most of trucking is going to be unknown to you. You're not going to know every street. It's going to take you a long time to know the interstates and stuff, but as I've been telling her, we've gone to some of the same truck stops quite a few times already. So what happens when you go into those truck stops?
It's a lot easier now. I'm more familiar with them. You know, I feel more comfortable because I have been there already.
She knows the layout, she knows the parking and what better parking spots are in there and the flow of the system. So when you do that kind of thing, make sure when you come out here, because we got her little book.
Yes, I do have my book.
I did videos about this before where we marked down the highlight in the book, all the great places to stop for truck stops.
I just messed up the front cover. I'm sorry, the front just fell off. But this is a book that Kearsey gave me. It has all the truck stops on there. It's divided by states and then by interstates, and she highlighted all the ones that she feels that she has the most parking and the better parking spaces. So anybody that, you know, this is a resource that you can use. And we've added some too while we've been out here, places that I never went to before that she was like, wow, look at this. And some of them have good restaurants too. So there was one more thing I wanted to say. Oh, I don't know. Okay. I forget. We'll remember it when we close out. All right. So I want to say thank you guys so much for sharing. We appreciate it. We're really doing a good job raising that money. I did get some referrals, but the bonus money, you have to be here 6 months at Prime for me to get that money. So I will be donating that money when I get it, including hers. Yes, I used her. Yes. So when she gets 6 months, I'll get the bulk of the referral money from that and be able to donate. So what do you want to know when they say, if you went to CDL school or you went through a company like Prime, then comment down below and say why you liked where you went, or did you not like, which was your preference, do you have regrets? People want to know. Yeah, and if you do research, this is a good video to listen to both sides of it. I went to private school, she went to PSD through Prime, so those are some, you know, a new resource that you can use when you're doing your research. And you know, something else to know too is that when it comes to trainers, you don't have to switch trainers if you don't want to. If you guys get along and you want to stay, and we've even talked about her staying on the truck past her upgrade process, that's a possibility. If you don't get along with your trainer, her trainer before me, she was with for 2 weeks and they didn't get along, and here she is. So, you know, make sure that you reach out to people. If either way, if you want to stay with somebody, make sure you let somebody know and you can stay. If you don't want to stay, then, you know, but it's got to be for a legitimate reason though. You can't just say, oh, I don't like him, because guess what? You're going to meet people in this world you don't like. You know, it's got to be a real serious matter of real, you know, importance. I mean, somebody shouldn't be yelling. Somebody shouldn't be smelling all the time. I try not to smell. You know, but I personally, I can't take the negativity and the negative people. So if you're negative, you ain't even going to stay on my truck. Trust me, you ain't going to last that long. So let us know down below. I appreciate it. Like, comment, subscribe, ring the little notification bell, and we hope to see you out here trucking along.